Hi, it's Chef Robin from Marcel's. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make noodles at home. You don't need fancy equipment, you don't need fancy rollers. All you need are ingredients that are most likely already in your pantry and a couple of handy tools. So let me walk you through the ingredients we're going to be using. One of the ingredients you may not have in your pantry is cake flour, and I highly recommend you look for it. It's important to use it if you can because cake flour contains much less protein than all-purpose flour or any other type of flour, which is what we want in pasta. That'll help us get a nice tender pasta. The other ingredients that we're going to be using are eggs. We're using 1 whole egg and 1 yolk, and this is to make a ½ pound of pasta. We are going to be adding in some olive oil, a little salt, some water, and depending on the time of day, the time of year, who knows, you may need more water or less water. And we're also going to be using all-purpose flour, about 2 to 1 with the cake flour. So if you can't find cake flour, by all means, you can use all-purpose flour in the recipe. So we're going to go ahead and get everything mixed up. It's time to get everything mixed up. So in my bowl, I have the cake flour, the all-purpose flour, and the salt I've added in. Just going to use my whisk to kind of stir it in. And then I've put all the liquids, or most of the liquids, in this measuring glass. I've got the whole egg, the egg yolk, the olive oil, and about half the water that the recipe calls for. And I'm just going to whisk it up. Get it mixed really quick, nice and easy. And I'm just going to pour it right into my bowl. I have the rest of the water here at the ready, just in case. And I also have a little bowl of bench flour that we'll be using down the road when it's time to knead. But for now, I'm going to start with a wooden spoon. I will quickly be moving to my hands. And I'm just kind of get it together. So really quickly moving to my hands. Just really good tool, right? And I'm just kind of using a claw motion to kind of get it together, clawing it around the bowl with my hand. And I'm going to start squishing it up against the side of the bowl. So I'm using that bowl to kind of help get it together into some kind of a ball. And if it isn't coming together really quickly, now yesterday when I made pasta, I barely used half the water. Today, I might need to use a drip more. Who knows? The dryness of the weather has a lot to do with it. So it's starting to kind of come together in this big old shaggy clump. All right, and I've got goo all over my hands, which is just fine. I'm gonna add just a scoosh more to kind of wet those crummy dry bits on the bottom of the bowl. And I'm just squishing up against it, and now I have a nice little lump of dough. I'm going to turn this out onto the counter, and we're going to go ahead and start kneading just as soon as I clean off my gooey hands. All right, let's start kneading. I've got a little bit of my bench flour. I'm just going to shake some down right on my counter. I'm going to take my shaggy ball of dough, and I'm going to just use my hands to kind of press it together. Let's get this out of the way. Just like that. And I'm going to push it down, push away, fold it, quarter turn, push, fold, and any little wet bits, you're just going to push together. Fold it, squish it, turn it. Fold it, squish it, turn it. And just keep working it until it really starts to come together, which won't take very long at all. Now, it's really important to note, we don't want to knead this the same way that we knead bread. We don't want to build up a ton of gluten in the pasta dough the way we do with bread. We want enough gluten and enough structure that the pasta holds together. But we don't want to build up so much that later on it'll be difficult to roll out or our pasta will be tough as a result of it. So I'm just about finished. I'm going to hold it up nice and close so that everybody can see. It's got this nice little film of flour on top. It's not sticky at all, but it's not like a hockey puck. It's a little on the dry side, which is fine for now, and it's soft. Can you see how soft that is? It's nice and soft. It doesn't feel hard. If I had continued to work it or overworked it, it would start to feel hard and elastic and tough. That's really not what we want when we're making pasta. So what I'm going to do now is kind of flatten it into a disc, just like that. And I'm going to wrap it up in plastic and leave it on my counter for 30 minutes to an hour. I will know it's ready to go when I start to see little speckles arise on it, and that's from the oil. And when it feels much lighter than you think it should, it'll feel much lighter than it is now. And the reason we want it to rest and the reason it's important to let it rest is we want the dough to become fully hydrated. We want the liquids to fully marry with the dry ingredients, and we want any gluten that we've built up through our kneading and mixing to completely relax, so it'll be that much easier to go ahead and roll out. So I'll see you back here in about an hour. Okay, it's been about a half an hour. The dough is nice and rested. Here's what it looks like. It's nice and soft. You can start to see those little speckles I told you about. And we're gonna go ahead and roll it out. So I cut the dough into 4 pieces, so it's really manageable and easy. This is one that I just finished rolling that I'm gonna set to the side. And then I'm gonna put a little bit more flour down on my cutting board. I'm working on my cutting board because I wanna cut the noodles on the board, not my counter. So I'm just kind of getting the dough into a nice little disc. I'm gonna start rolling back and forth. You can come in a little closer now. Back and forth, turn it around, and you're gonna keep on working it. Put a little muscle in, see how I use my hands, and I roll back. Always start at the middle and roll to the top or the bottom. I never start at one end and roll. And I'm constantly making sure I'm not sticking. You want to get this as thin as you possibly humanly can. A 1/16 of an inch or less is what we're shooting for. The noodles that we cut by hand are going to be thicker than the noodles that we can get from a pasta roller. But they're still really delicious and really hearty and really homey. And I think that's something we all need right now anyway. So just keep it moving, and you might notice it fight with you. See, when I do that, it just kind of goes boing and comes right back. That's a sign to me that I've built up a lot of gluten in there, which is making it tight and springy. I'm gonna set it to the side and I'm gonna go back to this guy. Like so many things in life, if you just let that rest a few minutes, it'll relax and you can get what you want. So this guy's been relaxing for a few minutes, and now I'm gonna be able to get him nice and thin. And then I'm gonna cut my noodles. So you can choose your direction. I just use a nice sharp knife. Try to get as even as possible. Just like that, all the way down. Few more. Now a half pound of pasta, a fresh pasta like this, will feed a family of 3, which is exactly the family size that I have. Of course, you can make more. So once they're cut, I'm gonna pick them up and just kind of put them off to the side. Now, you can cook them right away, or you can refrigerate them, tossed with flour, for up to 24 hours. When we come back, I'll show you how to cook them. Okay, we have boiling salted water and our beautiful fresh pasta going in. Now, notice I'm not just dropping it in a big old lump. I'm kind of letting them fall gently from my fingers, because the moment they float, they're cooked. And before they're done, I'm going to dip her in and get, oh, I don't know, about a cup or so of the pasta cooking liquid. And I will show you what we're going to do with these once I get them drained. No rinsing now, just draining. Okay, I'm going to show you a really quick pantry kind of a garnish for our beautifully cooked pasta. I've got our reserved cooking water. I'm just going to splash a little bit of it in. And I've got some beautiful pecorino romano and some nice fresh cracked black pepper, and I'm just going to kind of toss it together. And the heat from the pasta and the starch in the cooking water quickly combine, and you can do this in a pot on your stove too. I just couldn't figure out how to video that for you. The heat kind of combines it all into this nice kind of creamy, fabulous sauce. Just keep turning and moving it, and it will all come together in a really delicious and beautiful way. And of course, you can always top it with additional black pepper and cheese. Cacio e pepe with fresh noodles. Have fun social distancing. I hope to see you back in the Marcel's kitchen really soon.